I am so excited. It is spring. Spring means lambing time. I am 10 years old, carefree. I've gotten my schoolwork done already in the morning, and I head outside because the sun is shining. The air is 60 degrees or more. So I grab my faded red Coca-Cola hooded sweatshirt, pull that on. I pull the hood up at first. I step out into the garage and pull on my bright yellow mud boots and head out the back door, down the cement sidewalk along the back of the garage. I step over the handprints in the cement from the kids who lived here before us. And I decide, I'm going to put my hand in there and see if it fits better. Yes, my hand has grown compared to last year. As I go past the side of the garage and past the doghouse and the dog feeder, I find a couple of cats there eating food. And Kep joins me as I come around the garage. He sees me from the front steps. Our border collie, 3 colors. I love the brown mixed in with his black and white. And his eyes are bright and his tail's wagging and he's jumping around me, ready to come with me. He can come part way. We go up to the shed and there are fences stretched all the way down along the driveway, right up to the corner of the shed. There's a little hog panel gate that I unclip and swing open, and Kep has to stay outside the fence, but he doesn't mind. He's used to it. He goes running along the fence line, and I know he's just going to be going back and forth, tongue hanging out, feeling so important because he is our sheep herder. Even though we never trained him to herd the sheep, he just figured out himself that he is in charge of them unless they get out. Silly dog. Then he doesn't know how to get them back in, but he will just stick by close to them. But all the sheep are in the fence. We have several ewes who are heavy with lambs. They are ready to lamb any day. Any week, I should say. I'm always ready for them earlier than they are ready. And today, I am headed out to hang out with the ewes and just see if maybe they might have a lamb for me tonight. The gate is shut behind me, and I go tramping across the muddy path in my yellow boots. They splash and splatter in a puddle. I head over to the barn door and open it, and I smell sheep. That is such a comforting smell to me. In the back of the barn, I hear some squeaks, and so I decide to go check on the rabbits first. All the way back along the cement aisles I go, and there are our cages along the back wall, hanging up out of reach of the cats. We have such fluffy Angora rabbits. They're so soft and cute. We have a nesting box in for one of the mothers, and the fathers are in their own cages right now. They're just a little bit rough, so they can't be in with babies. And the squeaks I hear are the little babies growing bigger in the nesting box. I get a little peek of them around their mommy. Their tiny ears are so cute. Ah, little life. As I head back towards the door, I hear some more squeaks and scratches, and I look behind the paneling along the side of the wall that comes up to my about to my elbows or shoulders, and I lean over. It's so dark down there, but I can see a mama cat down there, and I go, kittens! I didn't know there were kittens already. So this is one of their favorite places to hide kittens because we can hardly reach them. But I've figured out how to scramble up on this narrow gap, this narrow rough boards stacked up as a wainscoting sort of against the pillars, the poles that support the barn, and sandwiched between those rough boards and this orange spray foamed metal walls is a few inches gap. Down in the bottom there's just some insulation and junk that has collected through the years when this was a hog barn, and now I don't know what all has gotten in there, so it's never my favorite thing to reach down in the dark. But when I know there is one of our pet cats down there, I dare lean over, lay myself along this narrow ledge, and stretch my arm down as far as I can. My head can't look down when I'm doing this. I have to look my head to the side into the barn. And I reach down, I pet the mama cat so she feels comforted and safe. And I wiggle my fingers down around the side of her soft belly. Such tiny, tiny squeaks come up, and I feel these tiny, almost hairless little bodies. I pull up one. Oh, that one was drinking, so now it starts screaming, but I plop my feet down to the floor and pull this little bundle up, cupping it in my two hands. It's so tiny in my hands. And it is a little orange striped kitten. Its eyes are just tight little slits. Its ears hardly show. And its body is almost more pink than orange, just the skin showing through. But it has a nice, tight, full, firm belly because it's been eating. It's so warm. Oh, it's so fun to hold a fresh kitten. I put it up by my face and feel the soft warmth. I smell the newborn kitten, smell the mama's been taking care of it and licking it, and it's all dry and warm. And I wonder how many there are, but I'm not going to disturb her anymore right now. I know I felt more little bodies and I heard more squeaks. I hear more squeaks. But Mama's getting disturbed down there. She's starting to kind of chuckle, do a little chuckling meow in her throat. So I crawl back up and stretch out and lean down and gently tuck the baby right down in front of its mommy. And she helps guide the baby kitten right back underneath her. Then it's time to go out into the pasture to find the sheep. There's only a couple of sheep in the barn right now. It's too nice outside. So I grab a 5-gallon bucket, an empty one, on my way out. And this is my stool. Out the door, back out along the side of the barn. I find the gate to get into the pasture, into the next section of pasture, and past the tunnel that the sheep run up into our barn. And here I am. There's a little grass coming up, nothing tall yet, but it will be. In the summer we will have tall grass to play and hide in. For now, the sheep are just nosing their way around through the old, tall, broken down, dried up grass from last fall. And they're finding little blades of bright green grass and big leaves of dandelions and other weeds. And also they love the alfalfa that comes up in some of these pastures. I head out beyond the silo, partway to the old fallen big roots tipped up from a tree trunk. And before I get there, I find 2 or 3 ladies out here, 2 or 3 ewes, set my bucket upside down and sit down on it by them. One of the ewes is laying down. She's just relaxing. Her legs are bent kind of under her, but her big belly makes it hard to sit up normally, so she's a little bit sprawled. And she's chewing her cud. It's such a satisfying look and sound. She's just, every once in a while, I can see she works it up out of one stomach and just grinds away with her jaw, going back and forth, grinding that food again. It's just one of the most contented sights I've ever seen. And then she swallows it to her next stomach and starts the process all over again. Her ears flip around to get the flies off of them. And her skin twitches underneath her long winter coat as she tries to get the flies off. We're going to have the sheep shearer come any day, because that has to happen before they can have lambs, preferably. And it's so much cleaner. Sheep shearing day is exciting. I always look forward to that. But I look forward to lambs even more. So, as a kid, I don't think about how it would be better to wait for lambs till after shearing. So I just sit there and talk to the mama who's nearest to me and say, "Aren't you about ready to have your babies? Couldn't you please have them today?" I say them because we hardly ever have only one lamb from a ewe. We usually have twins, sometimes triplets. We've even had quads. But when that happens, and even with triplets, we usually end up with bottle lambs because there's too many for the mama to feed. So she only keeps a couple by her and sends one away. But I don't mind that either because I love bottle lambs. They become our cozy, fun pets. I think ahead to what I'll do with bottle lambs and how even if all the other lambs go running away from me and skipping and hopping, the bottle lambs will come bouncing toward me. Every time I come up to that little hog panel gate by the shed, they will come crowding in the tiny corner and try to all reach me first, because I will have my hands full of warm glass bottles freshly filled with lamb milk replacer that I mixed up. And I think ahead to how I will do that in the laundry room sink. I will find the bag of lamb milk replacer there on the floor with the red plastic cups in it. And we measure that into the bottles. And then we get the water warming up and add the right amount of warm water. And then we shake and shake and shake them until the milk replacer powder is all turned to liquid. And it's such a funny, strange smell. Not my favorite smell, except that it reminds me of bottle lambs, and I love that. So I then screw on the rubber nipples on top of each glass bottle, and then I'll bring them out, an armload, out to the fence. My sister will come and help too, so we can each feed 2 at a time, and we will have the tallest one will reach over to the other lambs that didn't crowd up to the front, and we'll feed some of them through the fence and some over the top. And as they drink, their little mouths just get so intense on those nipples, and they suck so hard. Sometimes they twitch them almost out of our hands, and their heads go back and forth as they try to get it out as fast as they can, and their bodies swing and their tails go wiggle faster and faster as they drink. Oh, I look forward to bottle lambs again this spring. Some of them might be black, Some of them might be white. We have a few gray sometimes. Mostly white though. And I am just sitting here on my bucket talking to the mother, and I feel the warm, warm sun on my back. So I pull my hood down and let it shine on my blonde hair with curls bouncing and curling around my face. And as the sun gets to it more and more through the spring and summer, it's going to get bleached and streaked. And it tangles in the wind, and I'll have to brush it out. But I just feel the wind blowing it around me. And I hear not only the flies buzzing around, we have a lot of flies with sheep on the farm, but I hear some bees in the clover starting to grow in the grass. And I hear geese flying overhead. I also hear robins and their cheerful twitter. I look around and I see them bouncing around on the lawn outside of the fence. They are digging for worms. Oh, and speaking of outside the fence, there goes Kep running all the way around out by the field. He makes the circuit like this huge U shape from the shed along the fence line, turns the corner away from the driveway and heads straight west along the field. Then where our corner of our property is, he turns and heads north along between the field and the pasture. And he's the whole time just watching those sheep and running as fast as he can on his path. Then he turns around when he gets out of sight and comes back south, and then scoots back east and runs back north towards the shed. He might stop there and bark at the sheep that are closest to the fence and back and forth, but never touches the fence, not since he learned that it is an electric fence and it hurts to touch. And then he makes his circuit again. Now I see some birds in the big, big cottonwood in front of me. I think they're a nest building. What kind of birds are they? I peer closer. There's something little, maybe chickadees. I don't know, they're too small to see very well here, but they're darting in and out. We also have many kinds of sparrows. We have goldfinches. Oh, I love the goldfinches all winter long, and they come to the feeder in the spring. They're so bright yellow. And they dart back and forth. Some of them dart down out of sight into the lagoon, and they're probably plucking some of the old grass from the steep sides of the lagoon where we used to in the winter, where we sled down, because that's our only hill here on the prairie for sledding. And up they come again, the little birds flying up into the big cottonwood tree. I also look higher because I hear some scolding, chattering sound, and there's a squirrel. I wonder if it's scolding me or the birds or a rabbit that I barely see hopping around down on the ground. Something's got his dander up. Maybe it's the blue jays that are scolding back. And there's a big squirrel's nest up in this tree and another back further in the grove. Looking up higher, I see the blue, blue sky and a few white clouds floating around, and I think, what shapes do I see in those clouds? That looks like a turtle. If my sister were here, she would probably see an elephant. And what else can I see? That bit's turning into an alligator. Oh, then it disappears. I'm getting so relaxed out here in the sun. And my sheep is showing no signs of having a baby anytime soon. So I pick up my bucket and head back for the barn. Just enjoying this beautiful spring day. I start whistling. As I go, I whistle, "This is my Father's world." And to my listening ears, all nature sings, and around me rings the music of the spheres. What a perfect day to be alive. Thank you, Lord.